Welcome to Spotlight Stories NFL. Every team, every story under the spotlight. We're not just talking about scores or highlights. Here we dig deep into the history, the legends, the heartbreaks, and the future of all 32 NFL franchises. From the founding days of the league to the stars lighting up the field today, we uncover what makes each team unique. Every video is a journey. We'll take you through a team's origin story, their greatest triumphs, their lowest moments, and the iconic players who defined them. We'll highlight the Hall of Famers, the legendary coaches, the unforgettable games, and the controversies that shaped their legacies. Plus, we'll uncover 5 little-known facts about the franchises that will have you yearning for more. Then we'll bring you into the present, breaking down last season, examining the draft, and exploring what's next. Whether it's the dynasties of Green Bay, the heartbreaks of Buffalo, the dominance of Kansas City, or the underdog stories still being written, every franchise has a tale worth telling, and we're going to tell them all. So if you're a diehard fan who wants to relive your team's history or just love the game enough to learn about every team in the league, you're in the right place. Please remember to like and subscribe to Spotlight Stories NFL, where every team has a story and we shine the light on all of them. Let's shine the spotlight on the New York Giants, one of the NFL's founding franchises, built on tradition, toughness, and unforgettable moments. From their gritty early years to miracle Super Bowl upsets, the Giants' history is packed with legends and drama. But here's the question. Is this proud franchise entering another golden era, or are they still searching for an identity in the modern NFL? Today, we shine the spotlight on the New York Giants, their history, their highs, their heartbreaks, and what lies ahead in 2025. The New York Giants were founded in 1925 by Tim Mara, who purchased the franchise for just $500, a bargain that would become one of the best investments in sports history. As one of the NFL's founding teams, the Giants helped shape professional football in its earliest days. They were the league's first major market team playing in New York City and giving the NFL the credibility it needed to compete with college football and baseball for national attention. From their beginnings at the Polo Grounds to Yankee Stadium, then Giants Stadium in New Jersey, and now MetLife Stadium, the Giants have always represented not just New York, but the toughness and grit of an entire region. Over nearly a century of football, the franchise has built a resume that places it among the NFL's elite. The Giants have captured 8 championships, 4 NFL titles before the Super Bowl era, 1927, 1934, 1938, 1956, 4 Super Bowl titles, 1986, 1990, 2007, and 2011. They've appeared in 19 NFL championship games and Super Bowls combined, a mark that underscores their consistency over decades. With more than 700 franchise victories, they rank among the winningest teams in league history. The Giants are also one of the cornerstones of the NFC East, a division that has produced some of the NFL's fiercest rivalries. Their annual battles with the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, and Washington Commanders are always headline games, often with playoff implications and always with pride on the line. What truly sets the Giants apart is their long line of iconic players and coaches. In the pre-Super Bowl era, stars like Mel Hein, the first center ever inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Frank Gifford, a versatile running back and receiver who became the face of the team in the 1950s, made the Giants national figures. The Sneakers game of 1934, when the Giants upset the heavily favored Bears in the NFL championship by wearing basketball shoes on an icy field, remains one of the most famous stories in league history. In the modern era, the Giants' championship DNA was forged by Bill Parcells, who restored the team to greatness in the 1980s. Alongside defensive coordinator Bill Belichick, Parcells built one of the most dominant defenses of all time, led by Lawrence Taylor, arguably the greatest defensive player in NFL history. With Taylor terrorizing quarterbacks and Phil Simms steadying the offense, the Giants won their first 2 Super Bowls in 1986 and again in 1990. Decades later, Tom Coughlin picked up the torch, leading the Giants to 2 of the most memorable championships in league history. With Eli Manning at quarterback and a ferocious pass rush led by Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, and Osi Umenyiora, the Giants stunned the undefeated New England Patriots in Super Bowl 42, then did it again in Super Bowl 46. Manning earned 2 Super Bowl MVPs, cementing his place as one of the most clutch postseason quarterbacks ever. The Giants' history is also defined by its balance of toughness on defense and star power on offense. From Hall of Famers like Sam Huff and Harry Carson to pass rushing legends like Strahan to all-time great receivers like Amani Toomer, the Giants have built their identity on grit, resilience, and players who shine brightest when the spotlight is biggest. Nearly a century after their founding, the New York Giants remain one of the NFL's bedrock franchises, a team with a rich legacy, iconic players, and a history of championship glory that continues to inspire their fans and loom large over the league. Fun fact number one. Did you know that the Giants once saved the NFL financially? In the early days of the league, college football was far more popular than the NFL. When the Giants played a 1930 exhibition game against the Notre Dame All-Stars at the Polo Grounds, over 55,000 fans showed up, far more than the NFL had ever drawn before. That game's success gave the young league much-needed credibility and financial stability. The New York Giants are one of the NFL's oldest franchises, and their uniforms reflect nearly a century of tradition, toughness, and identity. Known simply as Big Blue, their uniforms have become instantly recognizable and deeply tied to the team's hard-nosed reputation. When the Giants first took the field in 1925, their uniforms were simple, plain jerseys and leather helmets like most teams of that era. By the 1930s and 1940s, they had adopted blue jerseys with white numbers, beginning the color scheme that would define the franchise. During this time, the Giants developed their reputation as a gritty, no-nonsense team, and the uniforms reinforced that image. In the 1950s and 1960s, the Giants leaned even more into their blue and white identity, adding red trim to certain versions of the uniforms. Their helmets often featured just the word Giants in block letters, a bold but simple design that emphasized tradition rather than flash. The lowercase NY logo, introduced in the 1960s, became a subtle but iconic mark, one that is still cherished by fans today. By the 1980s, the Giants were at the height of their Bill Parcells dynasty, and their uniforms matched the team's personality. The blue jerseys with white pants and bold red stripes became legendary, worn by Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, and Harry Carson as they hoisted 2 Super Bowls. Fans still remember LT in that all-blue look, streaking around the edge and sacking quarterbacks with the Giants' helmet logo gleaming under the lights. In 2000, the Giants returned to tradition by bringing back the lowercase NY logo on the helmets, tying the modern franchise to its storied past. This logo has since become one of the most recognizable in all of sports. The team also shifted to a deeper shade of blue in their jerseys, giving them a sleek, modernized look while still holding on to their old-school toughness. One of the team's most beloved looks is their throwback uniforms, featuring white jerseys with red numbers and gray pants, the same look worn during the Parcells-Lawrence Taylor era. These retro uniforms bring fans back to the 1980s and 1990s when the Giants' defense ruled the NFL and Big Blue stood atop the football world. The Giants' Color Rush uniforms, introduced in recent years, feature all white from head to toe with bold red accents. Fans and players alike have praised the design as one of the best modern alternates, striking a balance between clean simplicity and bold tradition. What makes the Giants' uniforms unique is how little they've changed compared to other franchises. While many NFL teams experiment with flashy redesigns, alternate logos, or radical color palettes, the Giants have stayed true to their roots: deep blue, clean whites, and accents of red. Their look reflects New York itself, classic, timeless, and built on toughness rather than flash. When you see the bold blue jerseys and the NY logo on a silver helmet, there's no mistaking it. That's Giants football, a uniform that tells the story of nearly a century of battles, legends, heartbreaks, and championships. Fun fact number 2, did you know about the strangest game in New York Giant history? The sneakers game is one of the strangest championship wins in history. In the 1934 NFL Championship, played on an icy field against the Chicago Bears, the Giants switched to basketball sneakers in the second half to gain traction. The change worked. They scored 27 unanswered points to win 30-13. It remains one of the most famous trick moves in NFL history. The Giants' history is rich with defining eras, but 2 stand above the rest: the Bill Parcells dynasty of the 1980s and early 1990s, and the Eli Manning miracle runs of the 2000s. These were not just high points, they were cultural moments that reshaped how the NFL saw the Giants. The first wave of glory came under Bill Parcells, who took over in 1983 and quickly turned a struggling franchise into a powerhouse. Parcells' Giants were built on toughness, discipline, and above all, defense. With a young Bill Belichick as defensive coordinator and a generational talent in Lawrence Taylor, they unleashed havoc on the NFL. Taylor wasn't just good, he was revolutionary. His speed and ferocity off the edge forced offenses to change the way they blocked, inventing new schemes just to slow him down. LT became the only defensive player in NFL history to win league MVP, 1986, and his presence defined the Giants' identity, relentless, intimidating, and impossible to ignore. In 1986, the Giants finally broke through, finishing 14-2 and storming into Super Bowl 21 against the Denver Broncos. Quarterback Phil Simms delivered the game of his life, completing 22 of 25 passes, a Super Bowl record at the time, and earning MVP honors. The Giants crushed Denver 39-20, bringing the franchise its first Super Bowl title. 4 years later, in 1990, they did it again, this time in one of the most dramatic games ever played. After losing starting quarterback Simms to injury, backup Jeff Hostetler stepped in and led the team through a playoff run capped by Super Bowl 25. Against the high-powered Buffalo Bills, the Giants controlled the game with bruising runs from Otis Anderson and brilliant clock management from Parcells. It ended with the most famous miss in NFL history, Scott Norwood's wide right field goal attempt from 47 yards. The Giants won 2019, securing their second Lombardi trophy and cementing Parcells' legacy as one of the greatest coaches of all time. The second golden era came 2 decades later, led by a quarterback few expected to join the ranks of Giants legends, Eli Manning. Overshadowed by his brother Peyton, Eli was often criticized for inconsistency during the regular season, but in the playoffs, he became something else entirely, and calm, clutch, and unstoppable when the lights were brightest. In 2007, the Giants barely squeaked into the playoffs as a wild card, but they caught fire at the perfect moment. They won 3 straight road games to reach Super Bowl 2, where they faced the undefeated 18-0 New England Patriots, one of the most dominant teams in NFL history. No one gave New York a chance. What followed was one of the greatest upsets in sports history. In the final minutes, Manning escaped what looked like a certain sack and launched a pass downfield where David Tyree made the miraculous helmet catch, pinning the ball against his helmet as he fell. Moments later, Manning hit Plaxico Burress in the corner of the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. The Giants stunned the Patriots 17-14, ending New England's perfect season and handing Eli his first Super Bowl MVP. 4 years later, in 2011, the Giants did it again. Once more, they entered the playoffs as underdogs. Once more, they went on a miracle run. And once more, they faced Tom Brady and the Patriots in the Super Bowl. In Super Bowl 17, with the game on the line, Eli delivered another all-time throw. A perfect deep ball to Mario Manningham along the sideline, threading it between 2 defenders. That throw set up the game-winning touchdown, and the Giants walked away with a 21-17 victory. Eli Manning became a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, joining an elite list of quarterbacks who performed their best when everything was on the line. What makes these high points so unforgettable is not just the wins, but the style in which they happened. Parcells' Giants dominated with fearsome defense and hard-nosed football, while Eli's Giants thrived on improbable miracles and last-minute heroics. Both eras showcased the franchise's DNA, resilient, gritty, and capable of shocking the world when it mattered most. For Giants fans, these championships weren't just titles. They were proof that no matter how much doubt surrounded them, Big Blue always had the heart to rise up and seize the biggest moments in NFL history. Fun fact number 3, did you know Lawrence Taylor wasn't just dominant, he changed the game's economics? After LT entered the league in 1981, left tackles suddenly became some of the highest-paid players in football. Teams realized they needed elite linemen just to survive against Taylor's speed and power. His impact on the salary structure was later popularized in the book and movie The Blind Side. For all their highs, the Giants have also endured crushing lows. In the 1960s and 70s, the team spiraled into irrelevance, going nearly 20 years without a playoff berth between 1963 and 1981. The 1970s became known as the wilderness years, defined by poor drafts, constant coaching changes, and even a controversial move to New Jersey's Meadowlands. Even in the modern era, the Giants' success has been inconsistent. After their 2011 Super Bowl win, the team endured a decade of mediocrity. Multiple head coaches, Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, and Joe Judge, came and went, unable to restore consistency. Between 2012 and 2021, The Giants had just one playoff appearance and no postseason wins. For Giants fans, the frustration is that the franchise swings wildly from championship highs to long stretches of futility with little middle ground. Fun fact number 4. Did you know the Giants hold one of the longest playoff droughts in modern history? Between 1963 and 1981, the Giants went 17 straight seasons without making the playoffs. For a franchise now known for Super Bowl glory, that nearly two-decade stretch in the wilderness was one of the longest droughts in NFL history, and a painful reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in pro football. The New York Giants' history is a showcase of NFL legends whose impact shaped not just the franchise, but the entire league. In the pre-Super Bowl era, names like Mel Hein, the first center ever enshrined in the Hall of Fame, and Frank Gifford, the versatile halfback and receiver who became a national star in the 1950s, gave the Giants instant credibility. On defense, Sam Huff emerged as one of football's first true middle linebackers, anchoring a unit that made the Giants a fixture in championship games throughout the 1950s and early 60s. But the modern Giants are defined most by their defensive icons. Lawrence Taylor is widely considered the greatest defensive player in NFL history, a force of nature who revolutionized the linebacker position and turned every offensive coordinator's game plan upside down. Alongside him, Harry Carson became a Hall of Fame leader at linebacker, while later, stars like Michael Strahan carried the tradition forward. Strahan not only set the NFL's single-season sack record with 22.5 in 2001, but also helped lead the 2007 team to its shocking Super Bowl victory over New England. On offense, the Giants' legacy belongs to quarterbacks like Phil Simms, whose pinpoint accuracy in Super Bowl 21 remains one of the greatest performances in championship history, and Eli Manning, whose 2 Super Bowl MVPs and clutch play in the biggest moments made him a New York icon. Manning's calm under pressure produced some of the most unforgettable plays in NFL history, from the helmet catch in 2007 to the sideline strike to Mario Manningham in 2011. The Giants' list of greats extends even further. Y.A. Tittle, a 3-time NFL MVP, brought the franchise back to prominence in the early 1960s. Rosie Brown, a Hall of Fame tackle, dominated the trenches during the team's championship runs. Amani Toomer, the franchise's all-time leading receiver, gave stability to the passing game for over a decade. And defenders like Justin Tuck and Osi Umenyiora became household names during the team's Super Bowl runs of the 2000s. From Mel Hein and Frank Gifford to Lawrence Taylor and Michael Strahan, from Phil Simms to Eli Manning, the Giants' icons reflect every era of the franchise: toughness, resilience, and the ability to rise when the lights are brightest. Fun fact number 5. Did you know the Giants were the first NFL team to retire a player's number? In 1935, the Giants retired Mel Hein's number 7 jersey, making him the first player in NFL history to receive the honor. Hein, a center and linebacker, is considered one of the greatest two-way players of all time. The Giants' coaching history is legendary. Steve Owen coached for 24 seasons from 1931 to 1953, guiding the team to multiple championships. Then came Allie Sherman, who led them to 3 straight NFL title games in the early 1960s. The turning point came with Bill Parcells, who restored the Giants to glory in the 1980s. His tough, no-nonsense style and brilliant staff, including Bill Belichick and Tom Coughlin, made the Giants feared again. Parcells delivered 2 Lombardi trophies and left a coaching tree that shaped the NFL for decades. Tom Coughlin later followed in Parcells' footsteps, guiding the Giants to 2 Super Bowl victories over the Patriots. Known for his discipline and fiery style, Coughlin became a beloved figure in franchise history. In recent years, the Giants have struggled to find the next long-term leader, but in 2022, they hired Brian Daboll, who immediately impressed by winning NFL Coach of the Year in his debut season. In 2024, the Giants finished with a 6-11 record, struggling with injuries and inconsistency on offense. Quarterback Daniel Jones signed to a big contract in 2023, missed significant time, and backup play wasn't enough to keep the Giants competitive. Losing Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles was huge. The lack of firepower hurt the team's ability to keep up with NFC contenders. The defense showed flashes, led by Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau, but couldn't carry the team through a tough NFC East slate. In 2025, the Giants clearly signaled their commitment to rebuilding with a smart, balanced approach. With the third overall pick, New York selected Abdul Carter, an elite edge rusher from Penn State whose college resume included 23 career sacks and All-American honors. Carter immediately brings a powerful presence to a defensive front that already features Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau. Later in the first round, the Giants took a strategic swing by trading back into the first round to draft Jackson Dart, a rising quarterback star from Ole Miss, at pick 25. Dart brings upside and arm talent, and he'll develop under the guidance of veterans Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. On day two, they addressed the interior of the defense by selecting Darius Alexander, a disruptive defensive tackle out of Toledo, with the 65th overall pick. In the middle rounds, the Giants fortified their offense. Cam Scatabo, a dynamic running back from Arizona State, was chosen in the fourth round, and in round 5, the team added Marcus Embo, a versatile guard from Purdue, bolstering offensive line depth. The draft wrapped up with 2 more picks in round 7, Thomas Fedone II, a tight end from Nebraska, and Corey Black, a cornerback from Oklahoma State. Analysts have applauded the class. Big Blue View gave it an A-plus grade, ranking it among the league's top 5 draft performances, particularly lauding the Carter and Dart picks. The consensus is that the Giants filled key gaps on both sides of the ball with high upside talent, a promising step toward rebuilding a balanced, competitive roster. From the glory days of Lawrence Taylor and Bill Parcells to Eli Manning's miracle Super Bowl runs, the Giants are a franchise that thrives on big moments. But recent years have left fans hungry for consistency. The question now is simple. Will Brian Daboll and the current roster bring the Giants back to prominence, or will New York continue its cycle of dramatic highs and frustrating lows? One thing is certain. When the Giants are relevant, the entire NFL feels it. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Spotlight Stories NFL, where every team has a story and we shine a spotlight on them.